Jake here for American Muscle, and today I'm taking a look at the cold air intake in texture black for the 2016 and newer Camaro SS. This cold air intake is going to appeal to the Camaro SS owner who's looking for a way to improve the sound and responsiveness of their car while maintaining everyday drivability. This is a cool, simple, no tune required compact setup that has a few neat tricks up its sleeve. Installing a cold air intake is one of the most common and easy modifications to make, and though they aren't going to make you big time power, they are going to bring a noticeable change in responsiveness and also the sound to your Camaro. Now there are all manner of sizes and types of intakes on the market, but this one has a couple of neat features that I want to point out, starting with this heat shield right here. Now this is not a fully enclosed box as you can easily see, but it does have a seal around the outside edges to keep out hot air from the engine bay. It's made from aluminum alloy and it's finished in this rough texture black powder coating. But those aren't the coolest parts. You also get a big old sight window at the top here, so it's easy to monitor the condition and the cleanliness of the filter with just a pop of the hood. But it gets better because on the inside, you might have already seen it, it's got heat insulation. Now, we have a lot of intakes that come through here at American Muscle, but I've yet to see another setup with insulation material, even from some of the big name brands. Between the aluminum, these seals around the edges, and that insulation material, you've got excellent protection against hot air coming in here. This is also going to fit in really tight on the inner fender of the Camaro, so it's going to make sure that you keep that hot air out, because that is the enemy to intake temperatures. And that is the opposite of what we're going for here, obviously. So this is going to make sure that you keep the air coming into the engine bay cooler and the hot air around your engine bay stays out of the filter and the intake. Speaking of that filter, this is also, as you can probably tell, significantly larger than your stock one. It's a multi-layer media with some deep grooves here, and it is an oil design, so you get the added benefit of having that additional layer of protection against dirt and particulates. The oil on the surface here is nice and sticky and gets a little slick on your hands, so it can help filter out even some of the smallest particulates that might otherwise slip through the mesh here. And the best part is that you can just wash this out, re-oil it, and pop it right back in. No need to replace it, just clean it and be on your way. Oil filters like this have a pretty long lifespan, especially if properly cared for, so that's also going to help cut down on the replacement costs. I usually clean these filters on my own vehicles once or twice a year, depending on the usage, and it does help extend the life of them. You also get an aluminum intake tube with a provision for the mass airflow sensor, and you've got these fins in the center here. So this is going to allow for really good airflow and bigger volume, and it's also going to direct the air nicely, keep everything flowing smoothly. And that, combined with the bigger filter and this air box, means that your engine is going to get more air, and that air is going to be cooler. And of course, cooler air is more dense, and that means it combusts better, resulting in better response and some additional power. Now, this aluminum tube here also means that you get some cool intake resonance, and that's my favorite part about installing a new intake. You get some genuine intake noise from the engine bay when you get into it. And that little honk that you get is a lot of fun, it sounds good, and it's not obtrusive when you're cruising around. You also get a little sound dampener that goes over top of the throttle body at the base of the main tube here. So this is not going to mess up the flow in any way, but it is going to make sure that you don't get any weird resonance coming through, making for a very pleasant driving experience. Now back to gains for a moment, I want to reiterate that this is not going to get you massive power gains. Now we're not dynoing this part, we don't with most of our intakes here, but expect only slight gains. This again is a no tune required intake, so you can just bolt it on and drive right on off into the sunset. However, if you want to make the most of this setup, a tune is of course going to be your best bet. Pricing wise, this one does fall about in the middle of the pack, coming in around $550. Not quite as big a blow as some of the others, but you are going to pay a premium for that aluminum construction, the heat insulation, and some of the other nice bits that come along with this. Overall, I think this is a pretty slick package, and even for the price, you're going to get a good bit of kit for your money. Installation is also quite simple, coming in at a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter. It should only take you about an hour to get it buttoned up. Intakes are pretty straightforward, and you only need a few tools to do it, so this is certainly a job that you can accomplish at home in your driveway or garage. And to show you exactly what's what, let's head on over to the install bay now.
Tools required for this install include a couple different size ratchets, an inch-pounds torque wrench, a couple different size flathead screwdrivers, a pair of channel locks, an 8mm socket, use a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch 10mm socket, a T15 bit, and a 2.5mm Allen. What's up guys? Today we're going to be installing a cold air intake on our Camaro, so let's get right down to it. So our first step is going to be to disconnect our mass airflow sensor. So we have two T20 Torx screws that we need to remove, and then we can just slide it right out of our tube. So now we can disconnect our crankcase fitting. So there's going to be a gray tab on the back. You can push in, pop right off like that. And then next, we have to disconnect this one-time use clamp. So we'll have to cut that off and then remove this. All right, now our next step is to loosen our clamp, and we can do that with an 8mm socket, and then we can lift this whole airbox out. Now our first step to installing our intake is going to be to remove our 4 throttle body bolts so that we can install our spacer. And then our kit comes with longer bolts as well to make up for the thickness of the spacer. So we'll get those out, get our new bolts in with our spacer. So we have 4 10mm bolts, and we 2 on this side and 2 on this side. So I'll get a 10mm socket to get these out. I'm going to get the 2 on the bottom first, just to make it a little bit easier. And now we can install our spacer. This little hook is going to go on the bottom. And then we can install our new bolts. And then we can tighten those down with our 10mm socket. So now we can go ahead and torque down all of those bolts to 88 inch-pounds. So now we're going to have to transfer our PCV box over to our new intake tube. We have a one-time use clamp on here, so we're going to have to grab a flathead screwdriver. We'll put it in there and twist it to break it open. And now we can install our PCV box into our new intake tube. We'll just wiggle it in. And then we can grab a pair of channel locks to tighten down our clamp. So now we can take our mass airflow sensor and slide that into its hole, and take our included Allen screws to tighten that down. And then we'll take a 2.5mm Allen wrench, tighten those down. Now to assemble our intake, first we're going to grab our filter. We're going to put that through the hole in our air box. And then the slotted side of our mass airflow pipe is going to go into our filter. So we'll grab one of our clamps. And we'll lay that over the edge of our filter. And then you're going to want the mass airflow sensor pointing straight back towards the engine. And now we'll tighten this clamp up with our 8mm socket. And now to attach our intake tube to our mass airflow tube, we'll take another one of our clamps, slide that over, and then slide our mass airflow tube into our intake tube. And then once we have that in place, we'll just take that same 8mm socket to tighten this clamp down. So now with our intake fully assembled, we can go ahead and peel back on this protective layer behind our glass. And now we have these 3 posts here, one inside, that are gonna go into these 3 grommets here, and that's gonna hold our intake box in place. Now the posts on our intake are gonna go into these 3 grommets right here. So now we can connect our intake tube to our throttle body. And then we'll line up our clamp. And we'll use an 8mm socket to tighten this down. And then we can start reconnecting our lines and our harness. So we'll start with our mass airflow sensor. And then we'll get our PCV line. And then we'll push our final line in there. And now lastly, we can take a pair of channel locks to tighten down our last clamp. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the cold air intake in textured black for your 2016 and newer Camaro. Thank you for watching, and remember, for all things Camaro, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.